love this place! How you guys doing? Hope you're doing well. Today I'm going to give you a tale of two companies. One company that was prepared because it is patriotic and usually makes the right call as far as business decisions go, and another that has gone down a far different path and is now paying the price. We can call it karma if we want to, but it is interesting, and it has to do with the whole tariff situation that's going on right now. So let's get into it straight away. Okay, so I got this email today from Firelock Games, Steve Chenault, basically explaining how tariffs are going to affect the company. And it has the usual intro, just kind of resetting the situation. Obviously, high tariffs with China right now. Hopefully that'll lead to better things in the future. But it certainly has the RPG world in a bit of a tizzy. However, let's see what Trollord has to say. Are they going to be affected by these tariffs? Well, the short answer is no. Steve says, we make our products here in the United States and have for decades. The current trade war, much like the COVID pandemic, will not have a measurable impact on Trollord Games operations. Now, we do use Castles and Crusades from Trollords for our Birthright campaign that we play every Friday. So it's a good solid system. I like to kind of think of it as like the missing link between 2nd and 3rd edition D&D. He goes on to say, I don't anticipate any price increases either. Wow. We do not anticipate a delay in output. And they won't have any difficulty fulfilling any crowdfunding campaigns, direct-to-consumer orders, distributor orders, Amazon, or other orders. The only negative impact is maybe a delay in print time from 4 to 12 weeks as a result of basically a crowding of publishers going from China to the US, which might cause a bit of a logjam down their supply chain. And he even offers here, I met Steve briefly at Gen Con. He seemed like a very nice guy. Just a normal guy, just a nice guy. And here he is offering, like, hey, if any of you RPG publishers have any questions, give me a call. I can talk to you about using US-based printers. He also goes on here to talk about their history. They did briefly publish in Canada from 2000 to 2003, but then they quickly kind of brought it back here to the US. There were several reasons, he goes on to say, for this. We shifted south of the border because they wanted to be patriotic. Back then, NAFTA was all the rage. I do remember that. I'm sure a lot of you do too. But, he wanted to support their local businesses. So that's why they shifted back here and have been here ever since. They do their books, boxes, screens, slipcases, and cards here in the U.S. They even source the paper locally. Basically, seems like they are a U.S.-made company, which is so refreshing to hear. And this is true, too, because I own several of their books. They've managed to keep a very high quality in the books. Yeah, none of them have fallen apart on me. They're all full color, very nice. Smith sewn, I guess that means something. All I know is that it doesn't fall apart on me, which is all I'm looking for. But they are very good books. They look good on the shelves, and they stand to a little bit of wear and tear, because we have used ours quite a bit. And he basically says here, once the production has shifted to the U.S., it remained here. So they have kind of watched quietly as everybody else has gone over to China. He also says here, looking back to the pandemic, how they were fine. Again, when you do stuff in the U.S. and you're a U.S. company and, most of your customers are here, you're good. And here they talk about their own print shop. I guess this goes all the way back to 2005 with his brother, and kind of convincing him that we should build a print shop and print our own books. Of course, they had no experience, but, they were very prescient. And they actually have now their own, I guess, in-house print shop. Even partially functional, it quickly became a central part of our publishing endeavor. It has remained so for almost 20 years. Print shop is home to a large printer. I guess it looks like they're on their 5th. A good paper cutter, perfect binder, and all the other manifold things one needs to make a book without a mess. In our own print shop, we manufacture all our soft covers. We did for many years manufacture all our own hard case screens and even manufacture our own hardcover books for a short time. And I love this here too. This really seals it. The cost of quote unquote too expensive. We've never been price shocked by pricing here in the US. It's higher than overseas for sure, but the cost benefit for us was never close. The uncertainty of shipping, custom markets, IP theft, big issue in China. Their desire to support local businesses and communities, reduction of their footprint on the environment, not sure about that, fair labor costs, and a host of other reasons make it worthwhile. And besides, crowdfunding campaigns mean that Firelock Games is selling far more units direct to consumers and avoiding distributor discounts. So they are cutting out the middleman, just like they used to say in those old commercials. That is more than made up for the slightly higher price they pay for their printing here in the US. They are playing chess, and all these other dummies are playing checkers. Well, the sponsor for today's video is Firelock Games. You may know them from Blood and Plunder. They also have a role-playing game called War Stories, which is a World War II role-playing game using the Year Zero engine from Free League. Now, I did a review of War Stories a little while back, and generally speaking, I really liked it. Just a couple of little things I might have changed here and there, but there were no deal breakers. And they have a Kickstarter campaign now that expands this from Europe, which is in here, to the Pacific. And there's also, in this Kickstarter, a campaign that takes us back to Europe for Operation Market Garden. You may remember that as seen in movies such as A Bridge Too Far, one of the best war movies of all time. I have no problem supporting this company, Firelock Games. Games only, no nonsense. That is why, actually, they are sponsoring. I don't take sponsorships from most of the people that reach out to me. This one I did because I like the company and I want to see this game succeed. So if you want to take your game to the Pacific or up in Holland for Operation Market Garden, check out the Kickstarter. The link is in the description of this video. Hey, look, it's Steve Jackson Games, one of my least favorite gaming companies. Here they are on April 3rd, whining about tariffs. On April 5th, a 54% tariff goes into effect, probably higher now, boo-hoo, on a wide range of goods imported from China. And for those of us who create board games, this is not just a policy change, it's a seismic shift. At Steve Jackson Games, they're actively assessing what it means, our pricing, and our future plans. It means stuff is going to be a lot more expensive from them. We do know that we can't absorb this kind of cost increase without raising prices. Well, should have looked for U.S. options. Here they are saying, they've done their best for the past few years to shield players and retailers from the full brunt of rising freight costs. Okay. So they go on to show you the dollars and cents, and I don't doubt that they're going to be underwater here, but I don't really care. Why not manufacture in the U.S.? I wish we could. Really? The infrastructure to support full-scale board game production, specialty dice making, maybe the dice making, die cutting, I don't believe that for a minute, custom plastic and wood components, I don't believe that for a minute either. Doesn't meaningfully exist here yet. Well, I think meaningfully means we looked at it and it probably seemed too expensive at the time, but now is probably looking better and better. They've gotten quotes, talked to factories. Even when the willingness is there, the equipment, labor, and timelines simply aren't. Not sure what any of that means. Sounds like excuse making to me. At least they do give the proper kudos here, because they do say when tariffs, when part of a long-term strategy to bolster domestic manufacturing, can be an effective tool. That's what we're going for. That only works when there's a plan to build up the industries needed to take over production. Well, we are not a planned economy, you dummies. Okay? The market will take care of that, and it will take time. And if it has to mean that people like you suffer, well, I know there's good people that are suffering, and I do have sympathy for them. I don't have sympathy for these folks. And this is part of the reason why. I just did a video on Steve Jackson Games, and some of the people, they've been hiring, they hired a really, really, really awful person to not just be a creative, but also a board member of Steve Jackson Games. Here is a sample of some of the stuff that they cling to. Does this sound like somebody that you would want as a creative for your company? And if the answer is yes, okay, then I'm not going to shed a tear if you go belly up due to tariffs. Well, there you have it, a tale of two companies, one that was prepared for something like this and one that wasn't. And the one that wasn't, I don't have a lot of sympathy for, and I don't think you should either. They're going down a very dark road of gender identity politics and the like. They love to virtue signal. And honestly, how many versions of Munchkin do you really need? I guess that's the pressing question. They did do GURPS, Steve Jackson games, for a long time, and I know a lot of people like that. I never really got into it, but at least I appreciated it in the early days. Uh, don't even care about it now. I'm sure that'll go woke too. So really, if Steve Jackson Games goes belly up due to the tariffs, not going to make much of an impact on me at all. Don't care. But I do like that somebody who had the forethought to produce here in the US, because they wanted to do it for good reasons. They wanted to support their community, but also for good business reasons too. They didn't want to have stuff like this happen where they would be in the position that Steve Jackson Games is in. So kudos to Troll Games for essentially winning, because that's what they're doing. And in case you're wondering, it is a good, solid system. It fits in perfectly, like with us, because Birthright, the campaign that we've been playing in for a very long time, was second edition D&D. And there are aspects of third edition D&D that I, do like, and this kind of gets the best of both. It's been a pretty big success, I think, at our table. Once there was that initial settling in period, I think the group has now come to kind of like it. It's kind of stripped back. You can just focus on playing the game and not, worry about gaming the system like you do in 5e to be a uber hero by 6th level. Well, that's all for today. Let me know what you guys think in the comments of the video. Do you love Steve Jackson Games? And, are you going to be sad if they go away? Or are you like me? You don't, really care. And, do you support Troll Games? They are publishing a lot of Gary Gygax's stuff now. To me, that says something, that's who Gary wanted to work with towards the end of his days. He was doing some work for Troll, and they are kind of now the inheritor of his legacy. And I think they're doing a fine job. They've had a couple of good Kickstarters with his material, and it looks like they have more to come. So, like I said, big fan of Troll Games, not so much Steve Jackson Games. But you let me know what you think. Let me know if I'm right or wrong. You guys take care. Have a great rest of your day. And we'll talk again soon. Peace.